All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the PPF Football Show, the past, present, and future football show with me, Paul, where we're going to be talking about football in the past, present, and the future. Clever title, I think, anyway. So I guess the main thing that we'll get started off with is obviously the passing of Diego Maradona on Wednesday. It was quite a shock to me when I read it, to be honest. He was a great footballer and he was very much revered, and you hear about his time in the '86 World Cup, and it's a sad time, and especially the way his life ended with his cocaine issues and all his drug issues, and but it's a sad life. But his play touched so many people, so yeah, it's a bit of a sad time for all of us in football, and then I guess our condolences go to his families. Our condolences go to his family. Yeah. So, it's a sad time, but the international breaks over on the good side of things, and we have football. Yay! Well, decent football anyway. So, when I was looking at the fixtures for this week, there wasn't really like any major ones. Well, there's one major one, which is obviously Chelsea versus Tottenham, which I'll get to in a minute. But just in terms of the injury situations, Liverpool are still screwed. So as long as that's still the case, I don't really care. So and just in terms of, I was just doing my research on like if there was any major implications for the Chelsea and Tottenham game this week, and it's actually Abramovich's first game, not first game, 1000th game as owner of Chelsea, which is mad to think about. And the amount of time, the complete and utter transformation that has happened with Chelsea as a football club. If you think about, he was the one who introduced Mourinho to the scene. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's been Mourinho, there's been Ancelotti, and it's been completely transformed. Like, because Chelsea was not in a good place. It was mid-table when he took them over, and then like even the story of how he took them over was amazing. He was just like in this helicopter, typical billionaire stuff, in this helicopter over Stamford Bridge, and he's like, yeah, I'll buy that. And, look how Chelsea has changed, and it's mad. But yeah, they're coming into this, I don't know. There's been a lot of talking about Chelsea this year, especially with their signings. So you have, I think Werner's their top scorer with 4 goals. Just have a look, yeah. So he's the top scorer with 4 goals. And Ziyech is the top assister with 3 assists, which I guess is not bad. But I guess if you're thinking about disappointments and if they've all hit the ground running, everyone thought that Chelsea would be like doing much better than they did, I guess. But yeah, and then Havertz, obviously, I think he's only contributed about like 1 goal and 1 assist so far, which is a bit of a shame, but sure, what can you do? And and obviously we have to take into account that like it takes time for people to adapt, to these things, and that's football really. I feel like fans are just kind of a bit like, oh, he has to hit the ground running, which obviously some players do, but obviously, especially with Havertz's age, I think he just needs to be given time and space, and it'll come, and hopefully his like amazing work at Leverkusen will come to light, hopefully. But yeah, just in terms of then, obviously in the Tottenham side of things, they're flying. They're top of the league on goal difference, but still top of the league. And I was just looking at my notes, and let's have a look. In terms of the injury situation, Alderweireld's still out. I think he's got a groin muscle injury, and Lamella's still out as well. Chelsea don't have any injuries to worry about, which is, I guess, a good thing. And there's this startling stat that Son and Kane have contributed to like 27 goals between them throughout the season, which I find amazing. And it's just mad to think, but like they're really overperforming their XG and XA, so it basically just means they're overperforming. So just in terms of if we had a look at their actual stats, like with their XG and XA combined, they should only have really contributed to about 16 goals this year, when in actual fact they've contributed to 27. So they're definitely really going through a purple patch at the minute. And I think that's kind of due to the fact that that's kind of due to the fact that, Harry Kane's been given a rest. I know we all say, oh, he's not as good as he once was. But if you think about it, he's been playing constantly for like so long. It must be like, he's been barely given a rest because he's been seen as so essential to like Tottenham. And, he is Tottenham essentially, But yeah, definitely. It's just like, it's good that he's been given a rest, and we've got the old Harry Kane back again, which I guess is good for Spurs fans, but not really good for anyone else, especially anyone who's wanting to win the goal as well. But he's always been carrying Tottenham for a while, if you ask me. And just in terms of other injury news, Doherty is going to come back as well for Spurs after he tested negative for coronavirus, which is always good. And I don't know. It's just like in terms of football, Chelsea, Tottenham. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a quite a wild season, I would say, because if you have a look at the table, it's been a weird season. Obviously, everyone's had to adapt in their own special way in terms of like how they're going to, adapt. And obviously, people are getting more injuries now, and the international breaks don't help with that, I don't think. And it's a tough time for everyone, I think. But yeah. Sure. But back on to Abramovich, I think like what he's done with Chelsea is extraordinary. Obviously, money talks. But if you think about it, just with like the amount of money that he's put in, it must be in the billions by this stage. But the amount of great players that have come into Chelsea during that time, if you think about it, there's been people like Lampard. Was Lampard there before? I'm not sure. But you have your Czechs, you have your Drogbas, Diego Costa, if you think he's a Chelsea legend, that's up to you. And, there's loads of them. And Hazard, how could I forget about Hazard? But yeah, it's been an utter transformation for Chelsea. And, I remember that time when they won the Champions League in 2012, it was just like, and it was mad, like with all these star-studded managers that had in, the like one person that won the Champions League with them isn't even like who isn't even like a manager anymore, or he probably is, but he's like not relevant anymore, which I found mad. And it's mad what money can do to a club these days. Like it's just amazing. But such is the world of football, I guess. But yeah, in terms of memorable clashes then between Chelsea and Tottenham, we obviously have back in when did Leicester win the league? 2016, when obviously they had a massive scrap. Everyone loves a scrap in football, and that was a big game, and that obviously won Leicester the title that year, which I'll always remember. And I guess the main difference between then and now is there's obviously no fans, but obviously now this week, they've. I think the English government have said like there could be 4,000 fans in the stadium. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at like the different restrictions for the different places, but that'll be interesting. I don't know, with the whole crowd situation. You do notice a difference, but I've kind of just like, because I've been pretty much this whole year I've been watching football with just crowd noise. So I kind of feel like it's just, I've gotten acclimatized to it now, but I'm sure once the crowds come back, even 4,000, I know it doesn't sound like much, but it's better than nothing, and they're going to create an atmosphere, and I'm sure it's going to be better. But yeah, in terms of just like, and it's obviously, clubs need money, and especially for like the clubs lower down in the lower leagues. That would be very handy for them. In terms of other footballing news, I haven't looked. I can't really think of anything major in terms of talking points in Europe. I guess we'll go back to Diego Maradona. It's just mad the way, like, even heard during the week Napoli's president saying they're going to name their stadium after him, which is, it really, like, he's had an impact pretty much everywhere. So first of all, he was at Boca, then where did he go? Napoli, Barcelona, and then back to Boca again. I think somewhere around there. But he's had an impact everywhere, and even like in Argentina, there's like, even in times like this, there's like thousands of people out in Buenos Aires, like, all like forming like guards of honor for his coffin and all of this stuff. It's incredibly sad, for sure. Life moves on, I guess. But I certainly, I only knew Maradona only because my mum would tell him, oh, he was a cocaine addict. And, I never really got to appreciate, obviously because I'm not old enough, but I never really got to appreciate Maradona as a footballer. So, but from the highlights I've seen, obviously that dribble in the 86 World Cup, obviously the hand of God, which I kind of think with the hand of God, like kind of like just demonstrates his will to like win, because, he was, I think that was the winning goal. It might have been. Nobody's watching, so okay, never mind. But yeah, that might show his will to win, that, he was just willing to like just, push the ball over Peter Shilton's hands and into the goal. I mean, it's still mad that like he got away with it as well, which is just amazing. And obviously then I heard Gary Lineker talking about the second goal in the 86 World Cup final. And it was always just like, obviously the pitch wasn't as good as now. So, it's easy enough for Messi to do that kind of dribbling. And, but like in those days, I think he compared it to like, when you like patch up your garden with different patches of grass. That's how he compared it. That's why he compared the pitch to that day. So, the ability to like, able to like caress the ball through that, and be able to have like the necessary skill to even just be able to go past so many players anyway is just amazing, I think. Absolutely amazing. But yeah. In terms of international football, which we'll move on to next, I guess. I'm sorry if this is a bit unorganized. I only had in my head to do Tottenham, but I also kind of felt like, it's a bit too short, so I'm going a bit off the cuff here. But in terms of international football, I mean, I don't really care about Ireland. Like, you see all these things on Twitter. Oh, short passing is not the way. Sack Kenny out and all this rubbish. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's definitely better than what it was during like Trapattoni, because during the Trap years anyway. Or even just like the old way of doing things, and I know that like everyone in the FAI is trying to obviously promote a better way of playing football, which we need, but obviously I'm not necessarily sure if we have the players to do that. Because if you think about pass and play, you think of the likes of, the Spanish, the Argentinians, Irish football is not like that. At least I don't think so anyway. Like when you think of Jeff Hendrick, right? You don't think of smoothly caressing the ball through, really, You just kind of think about, he used to play for Burnley. He used it up the pitch, that kind of stuff. Like, it's definitely going to take a while in order for that image to like shift. But I think you have to give Kenny more time. And yeah, I don't think the England game wasn't very good, but we're going to lose anyway because England are always good, even though everyone hates Southgate for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one with Ireland, and even just in terms of other talking points, it was great to see Scotland back up for like the first time in like 22 years, which is great. Obviously, they have a great bunch of players now, which includes like people like Tierney, Robertson. I think they're the only two that spring to my head. Yeah, they're the main two, and then you obviously have like David Marshall. I know he's old, but he's pretty good, and they're going to be to their first final in a while. It's a shame even that like the North couldn't get through, but Wales obviously through. Giggs seems to be getting them to play good football, and yeah, it's certainly an interesting time. But I think we're kind of just on the end of that period now of just of like we're kind of just moving, but we're slowly getting back to normal, which is good, I guess. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. To be honest, be nice to be kind of just return back to normal and be just like and not have like the main headline being COVID restrictions, COVID restrictions. I just want to have I just want normal life, watch my football, get on with it. In terms of other talking points from the week, I'm trying to think. January, I actually, this is a mad thing. It's mad how, let me compose my thoughts now. The season has gone, it kind of feels like it's gone very quickly, but in reality, we're not even halfway through the season yet. I don't think, anyway. Let me think. No, because we started a lot later, so it kind of just feels a bit weird. And I'm not sure how that's going to work, but obviously, what's it? We've got the World Cup to look forward to in 2 years? No, 2022, Bob. Yeah, okay. My mind's all over the place. But yeah, I guess we've got, everything's different, and it's kind of it's interesting how and fair play to FIFA and the Premier League and stuff for getting their acts together, just in terms of actually making the football quite decent, to be honest. Oh, another talking point. I just come into my head now. Liverpool lost to Atalanta. A bit of a shock. Not really. I hear loads of people are raving about Gasperini and Atalanta and his great attacking football, but I don't think they were doing that well in Serie A this season. I think they were underperforming quite a bit compared to last season. I think they finished third or whatever, but they've got their 2-0 win, and despite everything, I think we're going to be fine. I seen, oh god, we have quite a There's quite a lot of injuries, and even Nathan, is it Nathan Phillips? I think that's his name. But he even got injured during England under 21s training, which is a shame as well. And yeah, we'll get through it, and I'm pretty sure Trent's back in 3 weeks, something like that. So we'll be fine. It'll pass. And we've actually done really well. Our players are stepping up. Jota's stepping up. I think he got player of the month. Everyone's really stepping up and doing a good job. As long as we don't lose, Alisson, I think we'll be good. Because, we all know how bad Adrian is. And, yeah, in terms of actually a player who might make their debut for Spurs this weekend, we have Joe Rodon, right? So he plays for, who does he play for? Yeah, he used to play for, what am I on about? He used to play for Swansea last year, and I always heard about him because I play Football Manager, and he'd always be in the rounds as being a football manager, wonder kid, and you should sign this guy. You'd hear all of these people on Football Manager forums and stuff saying, "Oh, buy this guy, he's great." Ends up at Barcelona in 2022. I'm like, okay, and yeah, he was pretty good, and then he signed for Spurs over the summer, which I guess justifies our, hype in him, I guess. So he could make his debut this weekend, and that'll be interesting to see how that works. And yeah, I don't think there's any other major talking points to talk about in world football at the minute. No one's watching this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm sure you all don't really care what I have to say. But either way, it's been an interesting show. It'll be probably more organized next week. And yeah, I'll see you all next week at 5 on Friday. All right. Bye, guys. Well.